Okay, now I was muted on Zoom. Now I am unmuted. Okay, let me start over. So what this is a track of this is a 30-acre track. 30-acre track on County Road 423 in Anna, Texas. Anna, Texas is about 8 miles northeast of McKinney, Texas. Anna and McKinney is next door to Frisco, Texas. Those are connected to Plano and let me see, Plano, Allen. All of these cities have been in the top 10 best places to live in America. So really great place. The cost of living is relatively inexpensive. The area median income of the residents within 1 mile of this particular property is $94,000 a year per household. So if we have and they're not any, I think there's one other set of market rate apartments in this city that have been built since 2000. There are two other affordable deals in this city that are brand new, but affordable housing. They have rent restrictions on area median incomes. And so with area median incomes this high, the affordable units really work well, but there's nobody there capturing the market. So we have another deal in Anna, Texas as well, but we're underwriting this one so that we can make a presentation to the city council on Wednesday about our site plan and what our numbers look like and how many units we can actually get on this site. Per zoning, they say we can do 25 units per acre. Based on 25 units per acre, we can put a total of about 788 units on this site. Do we want to do that? Well, that's what they say we can do. This is pretty high density. The market calls for it. We've got a market study that shows Anna needs Princeton, we've got a market study where we're building there that shows Princeton needs over 5,000 units of housing in there with what's being constructed today, including the 400 units we're going to build. It's less than 1,200 units. Anna has a same market study with about 5,000 to 8,000 units needed in the next 5 years. And right now there's nothing started. So we're on the front end of the growth. Rents in this market are over $2 per foot for Class A units. So I'm gonna look at this, and what I was gonna do was just walk through my underwriting model of what my construction costs are, plug in these number of units. We've got 536 parking spaces in these markets. 70% of those parking spaces have to be covered. That means we can have garages or carports, and the tenants pay for those. So that's another stream of income. And then, so I'm gonna just play around with these unit numbers. I've got the unit mixes. So I've got 704 units and then 12 townhome buildings that equal at 7 units, and those are 84. And those townhome units are 3-bedroom units. So what we did here, we have all of the 3-bedroom units in townhomes surrounding the perimeter. Here's the clubhouse and then a little small strip mall. You know, this is going to be a small city with 700 units here. We can have a coffee shop, anything that, any amenities or something that the community would need can be right here on this site. So all of these buildings are 1 and 2 bedroom building units, 4 stories with elevators. Some of these around the pond will have rooftop decks so that we can go out and have in these buildings. I'll show you a rendering of what that'll look like. And so, yeah, I'm gonna just play with my my model here and plug in these unit numbers, square footages, and see what it turns out to be. If y'all have any questions, you're listening to me, feel free. You guys in the room here, I'm doing this on Zoom also. The Zoom ID, I could not pin it in the link because it would not work for some reason.
Hey, Alvin, do you want us to ask questions here on Clubhouse or on Zoom? Because I can do either one.
Either way, I
All
can,
right.
either way.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out to the people that are listening about the opportunity, and just from my own understanding of development here in California, that, you know, rents over $2 and area median household income over $90,000 is quite high, and it actually creates a really good development opportunity. So when Alan's going over these numbers and he's telling you about, you know, the area median income household income is, you know, what, $93,000 or $98,000, that's incredibly high. $2 plus rents are really good. And so just keep that in mind, that this opportunity that he's developing here in Atlanta is in a very really well situated economic, you know, type area where you know the incomes and the population, surrounding population, can really add value to this project.
Ahmed, thanks for saying that. I'm going to show you. So how do we start this process? We start again by taking a survey of a tract of land. Let me pull it up real quick. Y'all bear with me. Let's see, Anna, Dreamville, Anna South survey. So we had this thing surveyed, or the seller had it surveyed. We didn't spend that money to do that. Let's stop this for a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, we started with just a survey. County road. It shows the pond here. Our guy Don, he's our building science guy, is what I call him. But he has some technology to be able to measure and do a takeoff of that pond and see how big it is, to take away, to see how much land it's going to use. Same thing here. We start with that survey. And then we have a software that we are test driving next week, that we will literally be able to take that survey and plug it in, and it will do this for us. It will maximize every square inch of the land, and based on us showing, plugging into the system, that, let me show you that we have, where did it go? Okay, here it is. When we plug into the system, our building B or our building A, showing what the units are, it will literally tell us how many units and how many buildings we can get on every square inch of that tract of land. So we're modeling that on the 20th of this month. So I got a few days left. But in the process, we start with a survey. We already have our buildings pre-designed. These units have already been maximized using our SIP panel technology for efficiency, for high performance, and maximizing the space without a whole lot of waste. We did L-shaped kitchens with a small island. We don't have kitchens coming out here impeding the use of the room. We've got the bathrooms that back up to each other. So for plumbing and efficiency, that's really, really good. We've got a washer dryer closet in each one of these, which we're supplying all of the washers and dryers in these and all the appliances. In this 3-bedroom, in this unit 3 here, this is a different kind of kitchen. It's a small U-shaped kitchen, but it's a 1-bedroom unit. So it's a really big 1-bedroom unit here. And it's really open living dining area space. The 2-bedroom units are really open. On this side, the kitchen here, you come in, there's a small kitchen, utility and dining are here. So this is a 2-1. It's a smaller 2-bedroom, and then your larger 2 bedrooms are here. We've got 1 and 2, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and these are really open because they're wide. open. Each unit has a patio. And I will find a design of what the building looks like here in just a minute. But we start with since we already have our units designed, we already have the building designed, we plug those buildings onto this and we maximize this. By Wednesday of this week before our city council meeting, I will have a digitally imposed 3D drive-through video of what this is going to look like finished. So our video guy is doing that for our Princeton project as well as this. We had to have this one for city council, so he's working on it first. But we're going to have a literal digitally imposed video with music and all that junk of what this building and this property will look like with fountains in the pond and everything. And that's for presentation purposes to the city and then also for our potential partners that are going to want to get in on this. So every time we do something like this, we're getting better. We're stepping our game up to make our presentation better and to make our numbers better. Now, when we come to the number piece, you know, we've got this deal here telling us how many units we've got. So I know that on the 3-bedroom units, I have, and these are the actual square footages. I've got 84 of them. Y'all hang on one second. This is our notary guy because hello, Brandon.
Hey, I'm here. I'm not sure which. I think is it the first one, 3900? Was it 1402?
No, it's come on back to the back of the parking lot and it's building 3, and you'll see my black car and my black truck in front of the building.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, see you in a minute. We're finishing up on some signature docs today for our other closing. So let's see, we've got on these, we've got 3 bedrooms, so we've got 84 of these. And y'all show you how when you have your model already built, this is how easy changing these things up it really is. So this is Dreamville, Anna, and this one is going to be south because the other one is on the north side of town. All of this is the same whole period, 7 years here. Number of buildings, oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 buildings. Okay, number of buildings is 37. Year built 2023. Yep, that's completed, Tom. So what I have here is I have rent growth, nothing in year 1, nothing in year 2, and we start rent growth in year 3. That's a standard operating procedure for a deal like this. Some markets we can go up in year 2, but since it's not going to be completed until the end of year 2, we don't start any rent growth until year 3. Physical vacancy, year 1, of course, is going to be 100% unoccupied. Year 2 on this particular deal, we're going to be 35% occupied. And then year 3 on this particular deal, and actually I'm not going to do any rent growth here for year 3 either on this because it's going to take about 2.5 years to do this. And then when we get here, year 3, I think we can be stabilized. Okay. Economic vacancy.
Hey, Alvin.
Yes, sir.
For anyone that's just jumped in the room recently, the link at the top of the page will get you to what we're looking at. And then the password is DREAM, all in capital letters. DREAM, DREAM, all in capitals.
And then what I'm doing here on the other income growth, we're not growing income or anything like that until year 3. And then my OpEx dampening, what does that mean? That means I have operational expenses in year 1, and I'll show you on my pro forma. We have these expenses on the pro forma, general admission, all that stuff, right? But because this is a new deal, it's not going to be operating. So we are dampening those expenses 100% so that none of those expenses flow through to the bottom line. See the OpEx dampening here? So what does it show as our total operating expenses for that year? 0, because we got 100% dampening on that. Okay. Year 2, because this is a 2.5-year project, I'm gonna soften the expenses here 50% because we will be leasing into year 2. But by the end of year 3, I can soften this by about 15% because it's a 2.5-year process. Fully stabilized here. Okay. If this were a deal that had historical financials, this is where the T12, T3 would go in. And so this model is really good for all of that as well. And then here's my rents. And so now what we're doing is we're just coming up with the unit mix here, 2s and 1s. And now I am going to find that on my other spreadsheet. So Mayor, why don't you talk to me for a minute while I find that real quick?
Yeah, let's talk real quick about why you have more 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units and 1-bedroom units.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
In most cases, we look at, well, in our cases, we look at the market study. And that market study literally dictates the family sizes and the number of people moving into the market. And most apartment complexes you see will have a heavier preference on 1 and 2 bedroom units, just because typically those are the family sizes that lease apartments. So to have only 84 units for 3-bedroom units out of 700 units, it's typically about a 10% margin on 3-bedroom units that we see in these markets.
A 3-to-1 ratio, right? Like the
Yes,
70, 30, 75, 25 split, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What else you got? I am, guys, if y'all don't mind, I mean, keep talking to me for a minute, asking me a few questions, or Courtney, please chime in. I'm going to, our notary just showed up, so I've got about 30 signatures to sign real quick.
All right, we'll go with that money, get that bag. So while we're looking at the pro forma here, I just went over why year 1 and year 2, there is no rent growth, there's no income or anything like that, just because that's anticipated as the construction schedule. So on a property this size, with a very competent contractor who has access to labor and materials that Alvin has, you're looking at a, minimum 18-month to 24-month construction period, but most likely 18 months if he's a good contractor to get that property up and going. Now, this property most likely, will be built in stages in order to get certain buildings completed earlier, to start the move-in and leasing process as soon as possible. So what Alvin will do and what developers will do is they'll go out, and Alvin here has 10 or 12 buildings. 37 buildings, but let's just say he's building the first 8 or 10 buildings for the first phase of the project.
Yeah, right? We'll start with the strip mall and these 3 townhome buildings here and these first few buildings around the pond.
Okay, so what happens is when you start with the buildings up front, it allows you to start moving in your management teams, your leasing teams, your marketing teams, and then you'll get the first couple of buildings built and completed because you're getting all the contractors' resources focused on those first couple buildings. Those buildings get completed quickly because then it starts allowing people to start moving in and start generating rent and income for the property. So while those buildings are just being finished and the tenants are moving in, the contractor now has moved his teams to the second set of buildings, the second 4, 8 or 10 buildings. So they're now staggering the development of the project. So that way you can get rent in and started and people paying rent as soon as possible, because if the contractor and Alvin and their teams went out and started building all 37 buildings or all 20 buildings or all 15 buildings at once, it would take much longer to get a completed project or a completed building versus if these guys went and started and just built 4 or 6 buildings first and then moved on to the second 4 or 6, because they can get the first couple of buildings built much faster and completed and signed off and get the certificate of occupancy from the city. So then the second set of buildings could be going on while the first buildings are being moved into.
That is right. And then we've got, okay, so I think I've got my unit mix put together. Yes, I do. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I'm still sharing. Okay. So here, what I did, I got the unit mix. So we've got 351 bedrooms, 164 smaller 2 bedrooms, 190 larger 2 bedrooms, and then 84 3 bedroom, 2 bath townhomes, 1 clubhouse, and this clubhouse is actually 6,000 square feet. And then this common area space number is always a number that I look at our total square footage here, and I add 10% for common area space. And the reason why our construction numbers are based on total square footage, but if you do not have in your corridors and all of those things factored into, because you've got buildings that have space that is not rentable, you come up short on your budget. So I'll just take 10% of this total number here. And so I'll zero this out right now. That's 642. So that's 64,000. I'll put 65,000 right here, square feet. And what that does is that allows me to calculate my construction number correctly and not just off the rentable square footage of the building. And so these are not my rents for Anna. These rents are pretty low for that market. So I'll plug those in here in just a minute. As Ahmed talked about, having construction time starting in a place where we can actually get certificates of occupancy, much like we're doing in Princeton, starting with the office and the building closest to it. This allows us to work around the parking lots and everything and give adequate ingress and egress for the fire department. So we would literally have to have all of this road poured all the way through in order to get that certificate of occupancy first here out to the road. So we start with the parking lots, these buildings here and this here. So we've got adequate, oh, and you guys can't see that over here. I am literally tripping. I had that on my other screen. So here, in order to use these buildings first, we literally have to pour this parking lot and driveway to give the egress for the fire department and safety officials. So we'll start here with the clubhouse, strip mall, these buildings. You've got adequate way to get in and out for safety. We'll start here with these buildings as well. And so as people move in, they're gonna never be subject to the construction mess that's going on around. And that's the way it's typically done.
Ask a quick question.
Please.
So would this be considered a master plan development? Because you have strip mall and then townhouses and apartments.
No, this isn't. I'll show you. Let me see if I can find I've got one here. I've got one of those.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic either.
No, it's okay. Not a problem.
No, it's important to know if you're getting into a development and understanding this stuff, you got to understand the development process as well. I mean, because if you want to go and become a developer or invest in development, if you don't know how the flow of construction and the flow of money and the flow of investment go into a property, and you don't understand when it goes in and when it's anticipated to come out, it's not going to give you a really good understanding of what's going on. So it's really important to know how things go from the start and then progress through the process and get to the finish line.
So this is a master plan community. This is a 125 acre master plan community. It has already been platted and ready for horizontal construction. We will have this under contract probably by the end of February. Completion time on this will probably be, with the roads and all that stuff, the end of the year. But this includes right here, let's see, 3-story apartments. I think that's 600 units, 190 single family home lots for sale. Back here, you've got 1-story retail. I think that's 50,000 or 80,000 square feet. You've got 121 units of build to rent homes. You've got 120 townhomes. And then you've got 600 units of multifamily. This is and then a little small office space. This is a master plan community, 125 acres, everything included in here, except the school. And here's a high school right across the street.
So what would you say makes the difference between just a regular commercial development and a master plan development?
Well, the difference, as you see here, this includes everything from rooftops to retail.
Yeah.
The rooftops come in first because the rooftops feed the retail. And right across the street from the high school, the junior high school is right around the corner. So you've got families in all stages of life, probably. You know, from that means the elementary school is not that far either. So you have the ability to capture every family. And this is a small city. There's nothing like this in this city at all. So now you got all the new retail in town. You've got all the new office in town, and they can live and work in this community.
Hey, Aaron, a little bit of the difference you're asking about a master plan community, like Alvin's showing you right here, and a development or a mixed use process is there are different types of developers out there. You have, single family developers, you have commercial developers, you have multifamily developers, but then you also have master plan type developers. And these developers don't necessarily do any sort of construction. And what they will do is they'll be very opportunistic, and they'll go out and they'll buy large pieces of land. Like Alvin is showing here, this is over 100 acres. And this master plan developer will buy large pieces of land. They will design a development that is needed for the community, for the city, and then they will go through the process of chopping up that one big piece of land into smaller pieces. So as you can see, for retail, multifamily, townhomes, office, etc. And then he will go, the master plan developer will go and start selling those pieces off individually to smaller specialty developers. So this developer will go sell the multifamily parcels to Alvin, and he'll go and sell the retail component to a retail developer. And then he'll go sell the single family homes and stages to home developers like Lennar and KB and stuff like that. So this is a different type of developer, because there's, everyone has a niche, everyone has their specialty, everyone has different, bank accounts, and some have more, some have less. And so this is what his specialty is going out, his or her specialty, going out and buying large pieces of land, much larger than a lot of us can get our hands around, and then going up and chopping it up into pieces and selling it off into pieces to smaller specialty developers.
Got you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this piece of dirt right now, and I'll just tell you the difference in development costs. This piece of dirt, before this plan was here, probably cost $250,000. Couple thousand an acre. They spend $500,000 engineering this. The value of this land today, about 4 million. The value of the land, once all the streets, utilities, and everything go in it, 25 million. The value of all of this in here, $500 million minimum, from a $250,000 piece of dirt, and from
Wow.
a $500 million investment into engineering. So let's get off of that soapbox. And it all comes down to this: how do you pay for it? Starts with the rents on the commercial or the residential. I was saying we don't have any income, any units leased till we get to month 13. Month 13, we'll have a couple of buildings ready, and we'll walk this out through. This will have to be stepped up quite a bit. And realistically, financing a deal this big may not even make the most sense. What may make the most sense would be, since we have to phase in the construction anyway, is doing it in half. Right down the middle. It gives it about 360 units, 370, whatever that number is. I'll count these buildings up. We can pour all the roads here, get all the utilities and everything set, but don't start on the buildings. Courtney, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
From financing this deal with 360 units, let's call it 360. I'm looking at 72 million.
Mhm.
All of it would be 145 million. Wouldn't it be more feasible to break this up into 2 phases?
Definitely breaking it up. First off, breaking it up will allow you on that second phase to capitalize on that equity that you already have on phase 1 that you've completed. Anywhere in finance, we want to eliminate any risk. So, construction in itself is considered a risk in finance, but if you get that first phase completed and then you come back on that second phase, again, you're not having to come up with near as much capital in the beginning, or equity, should I say, and you have that equity in the project when you come to do your second phase. So financing will be super, super easy. But one point I do want to make on the first phase financing is, Ahmed kind of spoke on it. During construction, make sure on the finance, look for the option. There's all types of creative ways of financing, but make sure on that finance piece that you look at building interest reserves, which will cover your payments during construction, because your whole goal is to get to stabilization where you have bodies in the units and you're collecting rents. But during construction, you're going to have to make these payments. So key on financing of that is look for financing where they can include interest reserves in the financing at the beginning of the project. So that covers your payments during construction.
Very good point. We won't get to that today. We'll probably touch on that next Saturday, because we're going to break this up in about 3 or 4 weeks. And I'll show how we put our interest reserve and everything in there. Guys, what I'm going to do, I'm changing the multifamily monopoly. Cool. I just pinned me and Venus mastermind link at the top of the room. This is what we do. This is how we talk about it every day. But anyway, I'm gonna break this down. We're gonna break this underwriting piece down in a couple of weeks. I just kind of wanted to show the start of this right now, but I do think it'll be more effective to break this up into 2 phases. And it actually makes my work a little bit easier. It makes forecasting this out a little bit easier. It makes it a lot more palatable too, on doing, like Courtney said, raising the capital. Because what will happen when we come to do phase 2 is just assume, well, we're paying for this land. I think the land is $6 million. And the improvements for this 30 acres is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6 million. But then we take the land and divide it into 2 and do half of the apartments. So that $6 million piece of land is 3 million and 3 million. But guess what? The second half of that dirt probably is valued at closer to 5 or 6 million once you have phase 1 already completed. So when she said we won't need any more equity, or we can capture a lot more equity, we can capture the uptick in the value of that land being appreciated because now we've got units next door. And because phase 2 is actually working and operating, it'll be easy to tell that, hey, there's a need for that in the market. So that just makes phase 2 a little bit more appealing. And our lender would probably come up as far as leverage on that. We're going to also talk about some other financing through this that we do, how we utilize PACE financing for closing our equity gap. So we were able to do that in Princeton, man, and oh my God, it expounded the returns. And I'll just show you a little bit here. We're going to come back to this next week. So what we did today, right, was we literally just talked about our market assumptions, our macro assumptions. We talked about the unit mixes and the unit sizes. I will update our rents for us next weekend so that we'll have an adequate number of what our income will look like. You can see based on this right here, we haven't even put in the rents. And let's just go through this and see what it looks like. Haven't put in the correct rents. We've got one manager here. We've got an assistant manager here. We're probably going to need, well, we're going to do this in 2 phases. Okay, so let me back up. So we're going to make this 350, 350. What's that? 175, right? This is 82. 190. That's 95. And this is 42. And this will be 33,000. Okay, so what I did was I cut the total number of units in half. And so the rents, let's just look at, with these rents, we got 7 million in total rents. We have, I'm going to put in, so we have one manager here. She'll probably make 75,000 on this site. Her assistant,
the rent or the salaries?
I'm doing the salaries now, and I'm gonna do a leasing person at 35,000 with a 21% burden. We got a lead maintenance at 50,000. We got another maintenance at 42,000, and then we got a cleaning porter, and that'll be that. And then we'll have a housekeeper at 21%. Okay. General admission, general and admin costs, none of those really fluctuate. Our payroll came in from up here, so that's an automatic filler. Repair and maintenance, we'll adjust a lot of these numbers based on the unit mix. But let's just come down here. We got total operating expense of, yeah, this isn't enough. Insurance on this many units, let's call it 125,000. Where is that at? No, that's 145. Why am I doing that? Because I know our insurance door cost is about $380 per door annually. Okay, let's use that. Real estate taxes on this asset, we're gonna make that 650. Professional fees, utilities will flow through. Landscaping on this half, that's about right. $38 per unit on the units, that's good. Make ready expense. Repair and maintenance. I'm gonna show y'all something here. And I need one more position here. Let's make that 30,000. When we go to underwriting, our underwriters look for numbers that are $1,000 per annum per unit for payroll. That's a given. And can I cash out you?
That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this. Y'all give me 1 second. I gotta transact some business real quick. I gotta pay him. He came all the way out here.
No worries, I'll cover it.
Okay,
Now,
thanks.
if you guys are wondering about the salaries and why Alvin is applying certain amounts to certain positions, you gotta understand in the current real estate environment, the current economic environments, people are not as willing to work as some other people. So finding and capturing those key positions for multifamily property is pretty important. And that comes down to your manager as well as your maintenance guy.
Just do my phone number.
Maintenance guys are really being cherry picked. They're being stolen. They're being offered away because if you could find yourself a good maintenance and person who's technically a jack of all trades, they know some air conditioning, they know some electrical, they know some plumbing, they know painting, they know some repairs. They're pretty much pretty handy across the board. A lot of times they have training and advanced training. So it's pretty important that when you do find these key positions, especially your manager who is experienced and understand how to run a property of this size and this many units, where you have hundreds of clients, really. You have hundreds of clients and you got to make sure you collect those rents every month. You got to make sure all those clients are being taken care of every month. You got to make sure that all their needs are being taken care of every month, and they are following the rules as well. And your maintenance person is able to address those concerns every month as well. So that's why when you have certain positions, especially in this current economic environment where people are not really willing to work, construction is in high demand, so people with skilled labor is in high demand. Managers are in high demand. So when you find those people, you need to make sure you compensate them well enough that doesn't give them an opportunity to leave, go somewhere else, or have someone steal them away. Not to say anything, but when I drive through the drive-through at the local fast food, I see a flyer on the window that says, "Hey, McDonald's hiring for $20 an hour, $25 an hour at McDonald's." So if people at McDonald's are making $40,000 or $50,000 a year at the drive-through, just imagine what you need to start paying your skilled and experienced labor to keep them on site and prevent them from getting stolen off to another property or cherry picked by another operator to bring into their operation. So you really got to keep in mind that this is really important, that you have the right people and you do what you can to keep the right people, because they're very hard to find.
Absolutely, they are. So what the other thing I was doing was I was changing your repair and maintenance, R&M. That number is usually $450 per door. So I adjusted that, and then I need to change my utility costs because I know what that's going to be based on our engineer report. So we got 398 units. 398 times 8 times 12. 142.2 plus okay, 142.2 plus 396 times 15, 396 times 15 equals times 12 plus 142.2 plus, okay. 350 $155.25 for you. Utilities. Well, not much difference. $155.25. That number is based off of $30 per month per unit times 12 for electric and $15 per month per unit times 12 on water. Thank you, B. Appreciate you. Happy New Year. Yes, sir. Look in the refrigerator. There's something in there. Yeah. Okay. Be careful. And then I got my real estate taxes adjusted. My insurance is adjusted. These are true numbers. It's still a little bit light. But these are true numbers for this efficient product. Usually you'll find a deal operating between 32 and 35%, depending on the real estate taxes and, you know, new construction, very little maintenance, no repairs, none of that junk. I could bump this up, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna put, let's see. Let's make this a $350,000 expense number. Let's get our expenses up. 33%. Okay, we got rents that are still below market, below $2 a foot, 396 units. We've got rent coming in month number 13, rounding out at month number 20. Okay.
Hey, Alvin, how do you determine those rents, and how are you positioning those rents to be competitive in the market, even if you need to be competitive, or do you set the market with new construction, you think?
Well, we're looking at the rental comps from the neighboring properties, Ahmed, and the neighboring properties to Anna, the closest ones are in McKinney. And in that same McKinney market, where your area median incomes are 80 to 100,000, that's the same bill for Anna at 92 or 94,000, whatever it was. So we're forecasting rents very similar to that, and really believing that we're going to supersede what's happening in McKinney. So going off a market study and data and closest comps, you know, we use CoStar for data. They've got some of the latest data that I like. And then real life calling on the phone and saying, hey man, how much are your 3-bedroom units? And literally shopping the market. I remember Nick told me he went out to Princeton a month or so ago to find a 3-bedroom unit, and he couldn't find one for under $2,300 a month. Look at our rents. So we're way below, and this model, Princeton, Anna, all these cities are 5-10 miles apart. So when he couldn't find a unit below 2,300, that lets me know that when we're forecasting our rents to be like this, we're going to be golden. And this is off of data, not just. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust these closer to $2. I need to go find my market study. I didn't want to keep everybody on hold, but we'll have time to finish that. I'll show you where this other income comes from here. This particular property, laundry vending. Oh, how many units we got? 394. So we got 394 units that will be renting our washers and dryers. If you move in with a washer and dryer, we're going to buy it from you. Why? Because we want you to have the best, but we also need to have the best and highest efficiency because we're paying the electric bill. We're paying a $30 electric bill, but we're charging you $80 for it as a resident. Why? Because you're going to like the convenience of not having to get your lights turned on, and you don't know that we're making 50 or 60 bucks on it. You don't even care. It's cheaper than what you would pay to the light bill company. Also, we got 394 units that will be using valet trash service. Why? Why not? You're paying that much for rent. You don't care about 25, 30 extra bucks. We don't have any HOA on this property. We usually factor about 10% of the people will always pay late. Just happens. But there's a hefty fee for that, and that's an extra 30-something thousand a year for that. We got 394 applications that will be received. Very few deposits forfeited. We've got 394 units that will be paying us for water and electric, on average 120 bucks. Look at that staggering number for the year. And then we got 394 units. Everybody has the internet. You don't want to pay Spectrum or any of those companies $100 a month. You'll gladly pay us $75 a month for a 300 meg fiber internet connection, wouldn't you? Absolutely you would. And those corresponding expenses for us, so we've got internet here. Our expense for internet is going to be $394 times 32, 126,000, 120, 12,608 times 12, 151,296. That is not right. We are paying 32 times 396 equals times 12. Yeah, 152,000. 152,064. That's how much we pay for the internet, $32 a door. This is how much we make on the internet, $75 a door. Whoa. Insurance, that's right. Taxes, we got that right. Utilities. I did that. That was based on $30 per door, and then the water. So now we're at 32% OPEX, operating expenses. Those are real numbers there. Land acquisition here was $6 million. Oops. Legal cost 6.1. Hard cost development. This is not going to be that number. This number is going to be this was 250. Okay. 52,008. 52 million. Yeah, that's about right. 145 a square foot. The development of this land, see, this is, let me see, Anna, 12. This is going to be 15 acres. Okay. It's going to be about 4.8. 4.9. And I know that because of the square foot cost of $13 a square foot is what our horizontal contractor charges us. And then I've got a 5% contingency built in here. And so that puts us at a total 167 hard cost construction. That's a good number. My civils are about right. My municipal fees, that's my water and tap fees for the city. Those numbers are right at $3,500 or $3,600 a door. And so when Courtney was talking about interest reserve, we're going to touch on this next week. I need to calculate this up. But I'm going to put, for such a number as this, we're going to put $6 million here, just as an interest reserve. And what that'll be for, that is going to be for the pay your debt service for year 1 and year 2. If you have partners, you need to make sure they're paid. But we got, man, look at these soft cost fees of 14 million. Those are real numbers. So total $80 million project on 396 units, that comes to $202 per door. Now let's go down here and look at some numbers. So assuming I had a 75% loan, that's about right, 60 million. We'd need somewhere about $20 million in equity. That'd be our annual debt service. We'll talk about this next week, a second lien from Pace. I'll talk to you about that next week. But what I want to show you is raising $20 million in equity. And then we come back at year 3. Pooh. We do a 75% refi using a 5% cap rate. Look at the value, 108 million from 80 million. And this is a 3-year swing. Call that a freaking home run. And 28 million. And this is just this is the value. You know, you do a refi, pull out about 18 million in cash. How much equity did you put in it? 20? You almost got all your cash out at year 3. Let's see what it's worth at year 7. And that's a 5 cap. I can tell you right now, the market's at a 3.75 cap in Frisco, McKinney, Anna, all these little cities. Let's see what a 3.75 cap rate does to the value. Remember, it's 108. Oh my God, it's 144. Just a small percentage difference. Goes from 80 million to 144. Real numbers, y'all. These are real live numbers. Let's see what it's worth at exit. Using a 5 cap at exit, it's worth 117 million. Only 296 per unit. They're selling for that today, not in 7 years. What if the cap rate's a 3% cap rate in 7 years? Oh my God, it goes to 195 million. Off of how big an investment? $80 million deal. We raised $20 million with our friends. And we go to 195 million. We stack 115 million in equity, cash. And y'all wonder why I talk about group economics and quit talking about flipping and wholesaling a freaking house and let's go make some real money. This is why.
It's not, and people gotta remember, they're not making 195 off of 80. That's leverage. You're talking about how much money do you have into the development yourself, you and the group, the investors?
Well, let me show you this. It's 20 million. So
Yeah,
let's come over here. Let me show you what the returns look like. Oh, hang on. Let me do one more thing. Let's make this. I told you the cap rate today is a 3.75. So let's just use a 4 cap rate. Loan amount 101 million. So at year 3, we refinance and pay off all the equity that we put in and put 14 million in the bank. Year 3, pay everybody off all their equity back and put 14 million in the bank. Then if you're really generous to your partners the way I am, I let them stay in for 7 years because they helped me get it. Guess what? At year 7, we split 69 million. Their returns are 31%. You can get into this for as little as $50,000. And I'm not soliciting money. I'm just telling you how these deals work. Man, I think we've had a great hour and 15 minutes. We're going to come back next week and we're going to button this thing up a little bit. And we're going to plug in some more numbers. I'm going to go back to a 5 cap rate because I don't want to scare nobody. Even though right now it's at a 3.75. If I put a 4 here, y'all would think I was crazy. But that's what it's really doing right now. But let's go back to a 5. I don't want you to think we're going to make more than $20 million in 3 years. And let's go back to a 5 cap rate on the exit. Okay, it's only worth 117 million at a 5 cap. Me and the partners only split 13 million after 7 years. But look, we put out 16 million of their dollars at year 3. And still got a 20% return. Life in the big leagues. So yeah, we're gonna finish this up next week. Anybody have any questions on Zoom or on Clubhouse before I exit?
Alvin, I
Yes.
have a quick question. It's Claudia Brown. How are
Hey,
you?
Claudia, I'm doing good.
Hey, so what happened if we have a turn on the market and on year 3, that's not the year to refinance?
Oh, perfect question, Claudia. So let me show you what happens if we have a turn in the market. Okay, let's say that 3 years from now, this is 2025. 3 years from now, let's say the interest rates are 5%. If they are, everybody's in trouble, but let's just say the interest rates are 5%. And let's just say because the interest rates went up to 5%, our cap rate is, we're not no longer at a 3.75. Let's say we're at a 5.5 cap rate. We still got a $98 million value here. We still got enough room to refi and pay off 50% of the equity. But Claudia, what happens here? And let me double check. Okay, so I need to lower my loan amount a little bit. I need to lower my loan amount to about 70%. Let's see where we're at. Okay, why did I do that? I lowered my loan amount 70% to get my principal at 68 million because I have to maintain a debt service ratio of greater than a 115 when I refi. So I had to bring my loan amount down to hit that. But what that means is we only pull out $6 million in proceeds of the 20 million in equity. Okay, so we distribute that. And then what happens at year 3, we distribute 4.5 million. But all that does, Claudia, is next year, if we're not able to pay all the pref, and that's what this is. So this is the pref that's due. This will be the pref that's paid. This is the pref that's accrued. So if we can't pay it out, or if the market shifts so bad, guess what? You still have rental income. Your rents didn't go down, but let's be worst case scenario. 3 years from now, interest rates are way up. Cap rates have stopped, and we have no more rent growth for 2 years. Fair? All right. Let's look at our pro forma. See our debt service dropped from a 117 to a 112. Or it was year 5, year 6. We dropped from a 117 to a 12. So that means we would have to take our loan amount down a little bit more. In year 3 refi. Let's go to 67% LTV. There you go, back to a 117, okay? So then we only get enough proceeds for $1.7 million. So basically what we distribute is almost nothing because we got fees for refi and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the pref continues to accrue and it's paid out in year 7. The returns go way down. Everybody gets their money back. You still split a bunch of money. You just make almost 10% on your money versus 20%. I can tell you in 3 years, if our interest rates go to, for a commercial rate to be at 5, your house rates are going to be 6%, 6.5%. Inflation will be a 45%. Unemployment will be 17, 18%. And if our investors squeak by with 10%, they'll be pretty freaking happy they had their money invested in a deal like this rather than anywhere else if the market goes that bad, that quick.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any more questions?
Alvin, you might check the chats. I think there's a few questions in your chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, a couple of, why does the value, why does the value go up when the cap rate is lower? Would you mind sharing the template you use for this? Boy, that template is, that's a lot of dollars. But we can talk about that. Why does the cap rate go up? I mean, why does the value go up when the cap rate goes down? Well, Let me see if I can find a technical definition for you, and then that may help.
Well, I mean, the cap rate is an interpretation of the return on your investment. So the less return on your investment, the less cap rate is less risky, meaning properties with lower cap rates are generally viewed as less risky. So if you go buy a Starbucks, it's going to have a very low cap rate. You go buy an apartment building in Dallas that is in high demand, it's going to have a low cap rate. So cap rates kind of interpret a return on your value, but you can also see that the lower the cap rate is generally perceived as less risky of an investment as well. If you buy a strip mall in the middle of nowhere with no tenants, it's going to have a very high cap rate because they're going to try and give you a high return on your investment to get you to go buy a property that's a little bit more difficult to manage and to lease. But something that's a home run, like a Starbucks or a McDonald's, is going to have a generally lower cap rate.
Another way to look at that too, Ahmed, is that's one way that everyone has for measuring risk. And I think Ahmed said that, but so in a commercial environment, because you don't use cap rates on single family unless it's income producing. But as a measure of risk, we have appraised values, and those appraisals are what they are, but those appraisals are should be based on net operating income of these properties as well. And then so when we attribute a cap rate to that net operating income, that lower cap rate, I guess, as Ahmed said, lowers the implied level of risk because it's in a better market, it's in a better neighborhood. A higher cap rate would imply a higher level of risk. So why does the value go down when the cap rate goes up? Why does the value go up when the cap rate goes down? Because that implied level of risk associated with that lower cap rate attributes a higher value to that number. I hope that answered that question that way. Let's see, there's another question in the chat. Oh, got it. Okay. Yes, sir. And that was the only one in the chat. But if we don't have any other questions, man, I really appreciate y'all sitting this out with us today. We've been here an hour and 20 minutes. I want to do this as often as we can. This is one way that we get to share our knowledge. Ahmed's a big time developer in California. Courtney is our lender that has done our construction loans here. And you guys are all of our friends. Troy, I'm glad you was able to join, man. I don't know where you are in the world today, but this is what we're going to be tapping into. And then at the top of our clubhouse room, I clicked the link to the mastermind that me and Vina do. We meet no, we don't. We meet every 3 weeks, 17 times a year. There are a couple of in-person meetups as well. We're going to be doing site visits around some of the developments we're doing, as well as some of the projects that we are rehabbing. The notary was in here today. We're refinancing 4 of our assets that we paid probably less than $10 million for collectively. And our loan amount was 4 times that. So that tells you what the value has done on these properties. Our loan amount on a refi was 4 times what we paid for these properties. So we've been full cycle on them a couple of times. So let's see. Hey, Don, we spoke last night on the phone, you, Byron, and myself. Hey, Don, man, I'm so glad you tapped in. Thank you. And we're going to walk through this, Don, a whole lot more. Y'all, let me just show y'all a few more things what we're doing since I got my buddies on the phone, on the line with us. I'm going to share this real quick. Ahmed has seen a lot of this, but I want to show, I'll show the rest of you guys. I need this. I don't save this the way it is. Wow. Save as. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Let me say this. In the south. Under model 1, version 1, 75% with no pace. All right, save. All right, let me show y'all real quick. Man, I wish y'all on Clubhouse was looking in. I'm gonna just kind of walk through a few things. Nick, let's see, presentation. Let's come here. I think this works. Yeah. So this is a deal we're doing in Princeton. And this is just a pitch deck. This is the way we put them all together. This is our company. This is our construction company. This is not the latest version of that. Hang on 1 second. Move this up. Wait. That's okay. This will work. This was the site when we bought it. Right now, there is a fence. I don't know if y'all can see my cursor, but there's a fence between where those roads are and this. All of this back here in the back where those roads are single family homes, and they started on that first road 60 days ago. And they have already built all these homes on the first road, the second road, around this curve, and they are in the back. So this master plan community was just like the earlier one I showed you. It had 160 something homes in the back, apartments, another set of homes on the other side of the road, some townhomes and some retail. Yeah, here it is, 120 townhomes, 280 single family homes, 400 units, and 18 acres of commercial development. And our deal here, area population, about 28,000. Property median values, this is old. This is probably up about 240 now for area median income. I mean, household value. Area median income now is about 74,000. I don't know about the high school diploma piece. I don't know if that's important. It is to some people. It hadn't, I won't go there. Here's our site. This is 16 acres. It's platted for 400 units. We cut it in half. So we've got, when I talked about starting starting with one spot and being able to lease, we've got the leasing office. We've got all of the parking lots and everything poured for egress, ingress for the city, fire department, and et cetera. And then we're going to start with building 6. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and et cetera. This was the previous design of what the buildings were going to look like. Something very similar to that. Let me see. I'm trying to think of, let me find my Andrea. That's who I need, Andrea. I'm looking for Andrea's email to show you what the new design is looking like. That's what the buildings are going to be looking like. This is going to be stone finish, and then we've got a tricolor look as well. Really, really modern design. We had some garages designed here, but they had 1-bedroom units on top of those garages, and that was really a waste to get a lot of plumbing to the top of those garages for those 2 1-bedroom units on top of all of those garage banks. So we X'd the garages and did covered parking. Here's just some of the details of the property. Here we are in proximity, DFW here. Let me see if I can pull this down a little bit so you can see on the map. Well, here's an area map where here's Princeton, here's McKinney. So we're 8 miles due east, literally due east of McKinney. Prosper, one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. Salina is another one. Here's Anna that I talked about. Anna is just north of Princeton. This is literally about a 10-mile stretch from McKinney to Anna. Van Alstyne is another little city that's going haywire. That master plan community that I showed you in Howe is just north of Van Alstyne, right there where that 75 sign is. So that's all this proximity to this area. And then here we are in Princeton on the corner of US 75 and Monte Carlo Road right here. This was the site. Now, since we put this under contract April 1st for $6.9 million. They sold this, not this lot right across the street, but the one next to it, a 13-acre tract for $13 million with no entitlements and no nothing. No entitlements, no zoning, we're zoned ag, $1 million an acre, and we paid half of that for this dirt, fully entitled, ready, ground ready. And you see these dump trucks down in the earth? They had already excavated 10 feet below the surface to prepare the soil for the foundations. So this was a $500,000 worth of work that we inherited that was already done, that we don't have to do again. So big deal for us. And so the land value went up 100% from the time we contracted it to the time we closed. And then how was I able to get this deal and all of these deals done? Through teamwork and relationships. And I reached out to Consolidated Construction based on a relationship. These guys are based in Wisconsin. They have offices in 8 states. They do over 300 million a year in multifamily. And I told them that we were building 20,000 units and they wanted to be a part of it. They're doing this for us. Cost plus a few points. And I get to watch and minister all of the invoices. We get to hire the subs. And because we get to hire the subs, we've got a master electrician, a master plumber, and a master electrician, HVAC guy, and plumber gonna hang their license with our construction company so that we can control our labor costs from the framing all the way through the mechanicals. And we put in a proposal to buy the SIP manufacturing plant this week so that we'll also control that part of the supply chain. And yeah, these guys are used to building. They build in the snow. We're not using those cheap cabinets like that. But you see that poly under the concrete here? One of the things that we do with these SIP panels is under that poly is you will have 2 inches of foam insulation. So have you ever awakened in the morning like it is right now and hit that floor and it's about 30 degrees? Well, you won't have that problem when you insulate your foundations. The foundations is one of the largest transference of energy in a home or in any building. If it's hot, the concrete's hot. If it's freezing, the concrete's freezing. You insulate it, you have no change in that. And so that allows your heating and cooling bills and all of that stuff to be so much less. And that's the efficiency that we're putting into all of our buildings. And that's why we're able to offer a 1 bill option for 1 bill pay for the residents. They don't have to worry about light bills. We got it. And so we partner with a team that can do this for us, with us, that wants to do it with us. And that's how we were able to put them together, because they have $100 million per project bonding capacity. And they, hey, they're a great fit for us and all of our lending partners. Some of the highlights of our construction: high performance construction, indoor star Air Plus certified, Energy Star rated or greater, near net zero ready certified. Man, we can put some panels on the roof and take these things off the grid. One of the things we are going to do is we're putting solar on the roof, because we have centralized boiler systems in every building, meaning no hot water heaters throughout. Those centralized boiler systems, to keep the tanks preheated, we'll have solar tanks on the roof to keep the water heated So it's not using any energy. For all the parking lot lights, all the exterior lights, all of that stuff's going to run off of solar. So that's the way we are putting these buildings together. Energy efficient, 70% better than code. No VOC. What does that mean? There are no red label gases in any of this stuff. You go into a house right now and you see the spray foam in the walls and they think, oh, that's the best thing ever. It's the best insulation. Yeah, they've got class action lawsuits against those companies that have created that spray foam. People are dying from that shit. Fire retardant, because there's no air in between. The air can't feed this. It's treated for mold and fungus before the OSB is baked. So that means this wood is treated before it's baked for wood destroying insects and mold and fungus. You won't have it. And you probably won't ever have any roaches unless you're just really, really nasty because the wood's treated. Biggest deal. These things withstand winds up to 200 miles an hour. So that's Florida, Miami-Dade certified for Florida counties. Environmentally friendly, superior indoor air quality. Really quiet. I can't hear my neighbors next door in these units screaming and hollering and beating on the walls. You can't hear it. And just other amenities, large, balconies, granite countertops, 9-foot ceilings, all of this, great stuff. This is the way we're putting all of these deals together. Radiant floor heat when we build north of the Mississippi. So that means the floors are not just insulated, but they are heated. We use mini splits for heating and cooling, ducted mini splits. So very, very efficient, man, and just clean air, choices of the granite. Here's our energy report. So when we do these deals, this one was for our deal in Laverne, Minnesota that's being constructed right now. I'll be up there in the next couple of weeks to put the frames, I'll watch the guys put the frames up and record it. But this thing shows that our heating in Minnesota, where it is below zero today, estimated annual energy costs, $44. Estimated cooling costs per year, $16. And this was on a 790 square foot unit where it is below zero. It'll cost us $44 a year to heat this unit, $16 a year to cool it, $54 for water heating. That's why we're gonna have the solar on the roof to keep the water hot. Lights and appliances, $235. Per year. So that's less than 20 bucks a month. Service charges cost more than heating and cooling. Total 541 bucks per year on an 800 square foot unit. What's that, 50 bucks a month? Less than. That's all electricity. So when we have an energy report from this, that is how I can factor in what my electric costs are gonna be and all of that. Let me see, I got something going on in the chat. Yeah, it is blowing up, Donovan. And then this deal started out at $37 million total capital stack. By the time we were done, it was 42 million. I talked about the rooftop decks on the other units in Anna. This is what they look like, the rooftop decks. So we got the solar here to power all the exterior lighting and the boilers and et cetera. And then this portion over here is a rooftop deck with more solar on it. That little green space on the roof is for the dogs. So yeah, there's a dog park on the roof. And this is really cool, hanging out on the rooftop, really nice. All this stuff up here is solar powered. It's not costing anything. And so that's what we're gonna put around the ponds in Anna. And these are a couple of projects that the architect that we were using had done. And resumes and just more projects. And here's our energy rater, his resume, award-winning SIP manufacturer. Big old SIP house. And these are the SIP panels. They go together with a little small crane. They glue and screw together, man, and you can use them for commercial applications, etc. But that's it, man. It's been a great hour and a half. Any more questions?
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon. My question is that the spreadsheet that you had, is it possible to have access to that to to understand the breakdown more, or can we get an email of the Zoom call?
I gotta figure out a way to, I don't want to say it's proprietary. I've spent 30 years building this spreadsheet. You know what? If you send me an email, I'll give you a version of it that you can use and learn from. Sure will. My email
Thank you.
is alvin@alvinhopejohnson.com. That's Troy.
Yes, sir, it's me.
Troy, you wrong for asking me that question.
I'm sorry, but thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you already know my email address. Yeah, man. Any more questions?
Yep, well, it's not really a question, but just kind of piggybacking off of what we discussed. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. We listen to you.
Just piggybacking off of what we were discussing on Clubhouse the other day. Indiana actually does not allow PACE financing.
It does not. Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, in a situation like that where there's no PACE, man, we have to be in a really good market where we have partners that won't mind parking their money. That's because getting a loan, lenders will lend just about anywhere because you're going to be vested as well through your equity stack. So, I mean, you got investors that invest just about anywhere. You just got to be able to find those investors to close that equity gap. And, you know, we talked about the affordable piece as well. So if it's an affordable deal, and we're just gonna have to talk a little bit offline about that, okay?
For sure. Okay. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay. Man, I appreciate y'all tapping in today. Yeah, man, I'm from Beaumont. You were in Orange. I'm sorry. Hey, man, y'all have a great weekend. I appreciate y'all. Oh, Jonathan, go ahead, man. Talk to me. What you have?
So I just wanted to actually, I had hit you on the back channel. I'm a commercial lender, you know. I'm one of Miss Cooper's and Mr. Bing's students, whatever, and I've been kind of following you, brother. And I just wanted to know if it's possible, how much would it cost me to just take 5 minutes just to kind of like talk to you offline, from my space to your space, because I'm still learning, whatever or not. But you know, I would definitely love to partner with a big brother like yourself. You know, my generation, we honor people of you guys. So definitely would love to see if that's a possibility. I mean, I know you do large and big things on major scales, but it would be an honor if I was able to like talk to you for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes offline, you know, and I pay for whatever it needs to be paid to talk to you, whatever or not.
Well, I'll tell you what, since you offered to pay me, you don't have to. My consultation is $2,500 an hour, but if you'll send me an email, we can get you that.
Wow. Thank you, bro.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Man, I sure appreciate y'all for tapping in today. Amir, thank you as always, man. You always say today for me, man. Thank you.
What are we gonna go over next Saturday? What's on the agenda?
Next Saturday, we'll probably tie up the rents per square foot. I'll have those identified, and then we'll talk about some of the debt structure, some of the options for the debt. We might get Courtney to present some of the debt. We might get somebody from PACE to help us with that, or I can kind of go over what PACE is. We may get Wendy to tap in on some of the energy savings. You know, man, it doesn't matter. I'm just walking through this process, really just whatever we can talk about. But we'll tie up the rents and maybe some of the debt next week and show how that works.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, man, I appreciate you guys for, I'm gonna end the Zoom now. And if y'all want the recording, just shoot me an email. I'll send it to you when it downloads.